Hi, welcome to the channel. Today's video is titled Man Hater Says This Insane BS About Men and Takes the L right after. Okay, we're going to check this video together and I'll love your thoughts and your contribution in the comments below. Let's dive right in.
Chiefly the feminist movement, which I believe is a superior. It's a supremacy movement.
This is ridiculous.
How's that
I
ridiculous?
don't think it's a supremacy movement at all.
Feminism is a. I mean that's perhaps a bit of hyperbole, but it's
I think
not.
that there are bad actors in feminism, certainly.
Well, feminism is certainly not an equality movement.
Of course.
You're wrong.
It's not an equality movement.
Okay, and why do you
What
say
is
that?
it?
Well, the most generous definition I would give.
Oh, wait. Actually, I would like to challenge that for a second because I disagree with the fact that everything has to be about equality. I think that that's very liberal feminism. I think that we're post-liberal feminism now. I would say that women like me and most feminists who are intellectual and well-read are actually searching for equity rather than equality.
Isn't that worse?
No. What do you mean worse?
Equity. So are you talking about equality of outcome?
I'm talking
Because that's my sense of equity.
I'm talking about to each to their own needs. So acknowledging that men and women are different, and then saying that we both have equal dominion over the earth, right? And because women are certain, this gets into gender. It's like a whole
Well, okay.
thing.
Well, let's go back. What before you interrupted me? Do you recall what our thread was?
We're all over the place, right?
What was our thread?
Okay, let me even say this because I understand what she's saying and I don't think equity is bad, right? Because obviously, if we're talking about equity, majority of the time, equity would be or equity may potentially equate to merit, right? Because equity sees that you need what I was discussing with my cousin so a couple of days ago. It sees that okay, you need this, but again, you need some sort of help or kind of assistance, or they see these are this is your strength, and you can do something or do within do a particular job. Let's just use for the job setting, right? You can do a particular job or you can do a particular thing, and it requires this amount of strength, and that is your capability, right? As opposed to equality, where you know that you're not physically capable. We're using the job setting, right? You know you're not physically capable to do a particular thing, but you want to be treated equally or given the same treatment as somebody that is stronger than you, which doesn't even make any sense. So if their angle, which potentially we know that many of the feminists are not talking about equity, they're talking about equality, which equality, you know what, you know the truth. Physically, men are stronger than women. But if you're talking about equity, you're talking about okay, on a scale or on a let's use the scale. On a scale, I recognize that you are stronger, but I also want to be able to have opportunities that require my own strength on my own lane. That is not about preferential treatment, it's about my capabilities and what I can do to help or to assist in the case that it is my strength or my knowledge or what I can do is required, or what I can know or do or what I know is required, right? Which makes total sense. That is the scale of equity, right? Which is potentially not preferential, but about merit, about like we recognize your value, we recognize your quality. Yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think, obviously, because I think when it comes to this topic or when it comes to equality and equity, lots of people kind of mistake both, right? Right. Wait. Let me take it back.
We okay. Oh, feminism and equality,
Yes.
right? So I reject that feminism is an equality movement.
Yes.
Now
Just
here's
anecdotally, just because you're fifis.
It's not about how I feel. It's just a matter of fact. It's not an
Oh, it's a
equality
matter of
movement.
fact.
It is. It is.
What are some things that feminists are asking
The
for?
way
Well-
feminine or people who are like all about the feminists and I like I said earlier, feminism and femininity are two different things. I think the way that people project feminism is like low key like downgrading men to make
Yes.
themselves feel
Like when?
Better.
A
Like
little
in what
higher.
ways?
like, for example, it's just hold on, I have to think
Calling
of
us
one, but
animals, saying we want to fuck anything.
Yeah,
Most men aren't
exactly.
like that. Most men won't fuck anything. They
femininity is
have
embracing
Well, that's
same-
your
that's
It's like
womanhood.
there was a
and-
girl on the podcast a few weeks ago. She had like 8 dudes in one day. She would fuck anything. There's definitely girls out there that would fuck
Sure, but that's
anything
that's
as
also
well as
that's
guys
also a
out there.
very small percentage of women, and
Exactly.
and I
You're making it
suspect
seem like it's
I suspect that that's
all
coming from a
guys are
place
that
of,
way.
of mental health and deep insecurity rather than a need or a want for it. We know that evolutionarily men are more sexually aggressive. Testosterone makes you want to have sex more. Not every man. There are certainly men who are like you and don't want to and practice discernment and don't want to have sex with everything, but majority of men evolutionarily do want to fuck whatever they can, whenever they can, whenever they want it. So
It's self control, not discernment. It is self control. And I don't think at this stage you need to explain that to people. And besides, because people be like, okay, when it comes to sexual needs, men are more outspoken as opposed to women. Again, 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 with the use of OnlyFans, or because OnlyFans is now very common, what do you think? Do you even need a soothsayer to tell you? Because obviously, the audience that are giving these women or these OnlyFans airtime are men. Amen. And look at the other video that we checked where somebody potentially was saying that Bonnie Blue is a role model. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But again, obviously, when it comes to when you're making or having a discussion with lots of these liberal leftist women, you just let them speak because obviously you understand their mindset. Like, okay, okay, nothing. There is no point to even make any argument or whatever with these people.
I think that what we should be teaching men is restraint. And I think that you probably grew up with restraint. I think that, your parents probably were like, men and women are different and you need to respect women and you need to make sure that your sexual desires, or maybe you didn't have this talk explicitly, but you at least knew in yourself that you needed to control those urges because you are bigger and stronger than women.
It's not about
and
that.
you need to be respectful to them. So that's what I say when I say that men are animals and when I say that you are predisposed to certain behavior. I don't think that every man is a rapist. I think that certainly every man has the predisposition to possibly want to rape, but I don't
You're
think...
saying
Bro,
every
that's
Wow.
ridiculous.
also you can't
That's
say that.
How is that
crazy.
ridiculous?
That's
You're saying every man
Every
feels like wants to do that?
No,
This
I'm
is
saying that
completely
they all
true.
have the predisposition. They
Oh,
all have
don't say
male
that.
sexual aggression. They
That's-
all have testosterone.
that's incredibly a sexist statement to make. You're basically
How is that a sexist statement? We know that that is true. Most of who commits violent crime is male. Most of who commits sexual violent crime is male. This is ridiculous.
That's the apex fallacy. You're looking at people who commit crime is such a small percentage of men. You can't attribute to all men the actions
small.
of some.
How are 80% of women sexually harassed or sexually assaulted? How is
I reject
one in
that
six?
80%.
statistic.
Okay, well, you can reject whatever you want. What remains true and what is material reality is that men are more sexually aggressive, and one of the reasons that we are different is male sexual aggression.
What do you mean by sexual aggression? I want to be very precise in the words we're using here. Precisely, what do you mean by sexual aggression?
Sexual aggression.
What do you-
Testosterone predisposes you to
I don't disagree.
be aggressive.
Men have higher sex drives. I agree with you there. Men
yes, but they are more
desire
aggressive
sex.
in general.
Okay, let me pause there because people forget that because before now, many women in terms of their sexual drives, many women are shamed for it for having high sex drive, and are seen as like they lack self control and all of that. But do you think men have higher sex drive or high sex drive than women. I'm gonna argue that. I'm gonna argue on that because men are more vocal when it comes to that as opposed to women. Again, say sexual aggression. Babe, that's the reason why most of the time when many men or some men, let me say some men, when some men get raped, right? Society don't even believe it, or raped by a woman. Society don't believe it because guess what? People be like, how is it possible that a woman could potentially do this? You are a man. You have the strength. You have the physical capability to overpower her. Um, I paused there. I paused there. I'm not gonna say anything, but I paused there. But here's the thing: when you keep saying this type of thing in your mind, that higher sexual or sexually aggressive, it makes no sense at all.
Yes, sure. I don't disagree with you. Men are more aggressive because of
So what's the problem?
testosterone. Well, your statement was that all men have this potentiality to be
They do.
a
Being a
That's-
man,
that's a
having
that's a sexist
testosterone,
statement.
having testosterone coursing through your veins.
I have a different statement for you. Most men are good, decent men that would never do something like that. How about that?
We'd all like to think
Exactly.
that.
Yes, most men are not out there committing crime. It's an apex fallacy. You're looking at a small proportion of men.
I know
The-
that.
the-
I know
the
that
men who
most
are-
men are not. I'm saying that they have the propensity to.
the criminality.
That does not mean
component-
that
Hold
every
on.
man is doing it, but every man could.
Every man.
I think that
Sure, any man or woman.
are more sexually aggressive, and one of the reasons that we are different is male sexual aggression.
What do you mean by sexual aggression? I want to be very precise in the words we're using here. Precisely, what do you mean by sexual aggression?
Sexual aggression.
What do you-
Testosterone predisposes you to
I don't disagree.
be aggressive.
Men have higher sex drives. I agree with you there. Men
yes, but they are more
desire
aggressive
sex.
in general.
Yes, sure. I don't disagree with you. Men are more aggressive because of
So what's the problem?
testosterone. Well, your statement was that all men have this potentiality to
They
be
do.
a.
Being a
What?
man,
That's a
having
sexist
testosterone,
statement.
having testosterone coursing through your veins.
I have a different statement for you. Most men are good, decent men that would never do something like that. How about that?
We'd all like to think.
Let me even say this. It's just like somebody potentially coming to say that all women are the P word. What would you say? Or all women have the potentially of being a prostitute. What would you say? How would you think that? Or how would you say, oh, forget it. That woman will be, or that man will be labeled as what? A sexist or a misogynist, right? But again, look at her here. She could potentially say that or say whatever she's saying and think she's right or think that is okay. It makes no sense because, again, think about the consequences of what you're saying because already you're clouding your mind to think or to say all men have the potential to. I don't even want to say that word, but again, why are you thinking that? Why are you saying that? It makes no sense. Does that make it true? Absolutely not.
How about that?
We'd all like to think that.
Yes, most men are not out there committing crime. It's an apex fallacy. You're looking at a small proportion of men.
I know
The-
that.
the-
I know
the
that
men who
most
are-
men are not. I'm saying that they have the propensity to.
The criminality.
That does not mean
component-
that
Hold
every
on.
man is doing it, but every man could.
Every man.
I think that.
Sure, any man or woman could commit any number
Great,
of
but men are
crimes.
more likely to. That is just true.
I think referencing.
Let me ask you a question. Would you make that same argument if we changed the conversation from sex to race?
Yes. Okay.
What do you mean?
Is there a race that might be more likely
Aggressive
to commit
than
certain
the other?
crimes?
Yes.
Yeah. Who?
You're treading a little dangerously there. Are
No.
you sure you're okay?
When we're
Well,
talking about,
I want you to be intellectually and logically consistent.
Wait,
so
continue. Yeah, I want to hear more.
so
yeah,
go on.
Go ahead. I talk about this all day. This is my job. If you're trying to get me to bite like a racist bullet, I'm not fucking afraid to talk about statistics.
It's
Wait, I
not
actually
about
wanna know
being
why
a
country
racist.
I'm just saying-
I'm
well,
actually interested.
Look, okay, I want to get back to kind of what I was, and I feel like I've missed my place here a little bit. First off, most men are good men that would
Sure.
never commit such a heinous crime.
Sure.
But I do think it is a sexist statement to say that all men or most men have the potential to do that. When I look at a man, I don't see the potential to be a criminal. When I see
You're a man,
positivity.
and you're
no,
a
but
man.
I see the good in men. I don't see the bad in men. Most men are wonderful people.
I see the good in men also.
But
But-
it's
But you said
Well, you
all
also-
men,
you
where
also-
like that it could. That
You also
doesn't-
live life as a man. You don't have to be as afraid because you are not the weaker
Actually-
and smaller sex.
actually, as a man, I ought to be more afraid.
Of robbery and yeah,
Yes,
more
because
crimes are committed against men.
men are more likely to be victims of violent crime. If you and me are both walking down the street,
not
I'm actually,
sexual violent crime. Men are not more likely to
Yes.
be victims of sexual violent
Yes,
crime.
but overall, men are more likely to be. If we're looking at the entire umbrella, men are much more
Which
likely
is
to be
worse, robbery
victims
or
of
rape?
crime. Huh?
Which is worse,
Well,
robbery or rape?
When you say robbery, I'm talking about violent crime.
Yeah, violent crime would be armed robbery or assault.
Well, it could also mean getting into a street fight and having permanent brain damage.
Sure, but that's not most of what violent
end
crime
your
is.
life.
Most of
Honestly,
violent
if
crime
I
is
can be honest with you,
aggravated
you're
assault.
asking me a question. Would I
Yeah.
rather be raped or be brutally beaten? Honestly, without perhaps I get a little cut up or whatever. I guess she left too. I don't know. Whatever. Okay,
It's
Literally
you and me,
at
Brian,
whatever.
forever.
bro.
Literally whatever.
So podcasts are here.
I would honestly. This is kind of
Rather
like,
be assaulted. Like
I would
hit.
rather be I would rather be sexually assaulted
Wow.
than get a fucking like traumatic brain injury.
Sure, but this is
By
also
getting
this
physically
is
assaulted.
This is a false dichotomy. You're not most men who are
But you
being
asked me the
aggressed
question.
upon are not getting traumatic brain injury.
You asked me. You basically.
I asked you a
which
question
of,
and you
of
moved the goalpost. I asked you a question and you changed the question.
Well, you said.
Would you rather be robbed or raped? And you said, "Yeah, I'd rather be
answer.
assaulted than
Sexually
have
assaulted.
brain damage." That's
answered
not what I
the
asked.
No.
question.
But see, you compared a very extreme sexual crime to a robbery. Like, what does a robbery entail? They just take your. If the question is, would you rather be essayed or someone steals from you without hurting you? Please steal what I have. However,
Robbery
To
counts
compare-
as violent crime.
okay, but let's agree that there are degrees to both of these. So there's degrees
Sure.
to sexual assault, and then there's degrees. For example, a guy could non-consensually, I don't know,
Put their hands on you.
like spank you or whatever, right? That's wrong, but that's not as bad as, for example, like full-blown grape, right?
Sure.
So you're using the most extreme and comparing it to robbery, and I'm saying there are men that let me just finish. There are men who are getting into street fights, perhaps unintentionally, or they're getting their fucking heads stomped on. So I mean, I would want you to compare two really extremes to the other. So if the result of if the result of a violent interaction is me getting a traumatic brain injury versus me being penetrated,
We're talking about majorities. So majority of violent crime that happens to men is not rape. It's not even where you are maimed. It's not where it is literally just aggravated assault or you are getting robbed at gunpoint. That is most of violent crime for men, or you're getting punched.
No, most violent crime is like getting into some fucking bullshit.
Most of
street
the
fight,
violent
getting-
crime propagated towards women by men is murder and rape. They also rob women, but most of the violent crime created towards women by men is more extreme than the crime that you would experience as a man. That is just true. So you're giving me a false dichotomy and where I'm comparing two things that are the most likely.
trying to recollect my thoughts, right? Arguing with a leftist who base off their opinion or say things based on feelings rather than thought or thinking or facts is like dealing with a toddler who like your if I can't even compare them with a toddler because at least a toddler you still have to like continuously like train them, right? But these ones like they potentially would know the truth, but they'd be like, feelings is better. It's better. How are you comparing both? It makes no sense. How are you? And again, from the fact or from the place where she even just mentioned or said that, like,
Most likely.
The most likely thing to happen to men is for him to be robbed. I disagree with that.
That is the most likely.
Robbery
To
is
be
more
aggressed,
like
to be aggressed upon, you are more likely than anything else.
A
You are not
robbery
likely
versus
to be
just
raped
like
by another man. You are not likely to be killed by another man as much as you are to be robbed at gunpoint by another man.
I mean, bro, like,
Women are way less likely to be robbed than they are raped and killed. Do you know that one of the leading causes of pregnant women death is homicide by their husbands?
and since we're bringing up other things into the conversation, do you know that young boys are more likely to be the victim of infanticide than young women? I mean, if we can bring it all over the
Well,
place.
women are more likely to kill their children than men are.
Really?
And
Yeah.
boys are more likely to be killed than or sons are more likely to be killed than daughters.
Sure.
Look,
But you're talking
we're-
about a
we
crime
can-
that
we can
happens
just,
this
like,
frequently
go back and
versus a
forth.
crime that happens this frequently.
Which one am I talking about?
Infanticide.
Well, you brought up a totally unrelated thing, so
You
I'm
brought up infanticide.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. Look, I want to try to bring it back to the original thing,
Yeah.
which
Bring
was
it back.
I think we
Polygamy.
were talking about fucking,
Polygamy. Can I say one thing, please? I've been dying.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think the issue where you guys both got off, like, you guys were vibing for a second, and then it just, and you were talking about testosterone, which yes, that does create aggression, absolutely. However, he was talking about like rape coming, green grape,
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
coming from. I think you were like, it's not from testosterone. It's more of a mind thing. It doesn't mean that every single male is more inclined to do so because they have higher testosterone. Perhaps it's not about the testosterone, and it's more of like, okay, well, she's
oh, sorry.
female. Maybe being
Let me take it back a bit.
perhaps it's not about the testosterone, and it's more of like, okay, well, she's a female. Maybe being a rapist is coming from a state of mind or a mental thing, and not necessarily from.
Well, the mental thing would be how
Having-
testosterone affects the brain.
Okay.
True.
A man in
It
any
could be
man
many
is,
sources.
Sure.
Many sources.
Any man is more likely to rape someone than a woman.
And I'm not saying I agree or disagree.
Okay,
with
so
do you
either,
agree with
right?
that?
Huh?
Any man is more likely to rape someone than a woman is.
Any man,
Oh,
wait, any man is more likely
Grape.
to grape someone. Any man.
If we're talking about
Are
statistics,
you saying
probability,
any
likelihood.
given man is? There are women who are perpetrators of this crime.
But who
Yeah.
commits 99% of rape?
No, I would acknowledge that.
But
Yes, there are more men who
It's
do.
a male problem. Why do you think it's there?
It's not a male problem. It's a criminal problem.
It's a male problem. It's a male criminal problem. There's a reason why 99% of rapes
Hold
are
on,
propagated by
hold
men.
on.
K_Ondo_SA donated $100. Chick with black hat. If you want to have a real debate, get on Fresh and Fit. You'll be easily dismantled on your beliefs. If I don't see you there, then I know you don't seriously believe what you think. Men also are more likely to experience violence.
Okay, so thank you there for the
They're not
100.
more likely than women to experience violence.
Men are more likely to experience violence than women.
In like on the street, sure, but not. I thought that meant in
In
like a
all
relationship.
if,
my bad.
If you literally look at all the crime statistics, if you look at all the crime
yes,
statistics,
I in my brain it registered as like domestic cases.
Well, you just compare all crime statistics.
Sure, I realize
that
that
are
what you're saying
violent.
is true.
Okay.
I was wrong. I was silly.
Okay, so we're gonna move on from that. Chiefly,
Okay. Obviously, she's proven time and time again she does not know the difference between discernment and self-control, and the acts that potentially, potentially, potentially is not about feelings but about facts. But again, let's even talk about when the I don't even want to talk about that gripping issue or the SA issue, because majority of the time is not recorded. And that's why when many men gets raped also, they don't talk about it because they get shamed for it, or um, they are not believed because, or nobody believes them because, again, people be like, how is it possible? But let's get back to this. Liberal women and their feelings are 5 and 6, or liberals, leftists, and feelings are 5 and 6. So whenever they talk, and they just say like, I feel like, feel, feel. Yeah, don't care about your feelings, right? Nobody freaking cares. But here is the truth. But when it continuously to make or say some things that are not true, then I'm like, okay, yeah, you're not thinking for yourself. You're just going with the vast majority of what you've heard, and you think it is true. Fact check it before you come here to spew some a particular rhetoric that is not true. But again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to like, time. See you in the next.